Hello everyone, myself Yash and I am a member at C.A.S.E.23 official. Today we are gonna discuss about basic principles of forensic science. So in forensics, basically we have seven principles and these principles are as follow. First we have law of individuality, after that we have principle of mutual exchange and then we have law of progressive change and then law of comparison, law of analysis, law of probability and law of circumstantial facts. Now we will learn about these laws in detail one by one. First, we have law of individuality. So basically, we can say that each and every individual, or we can say thing, possess some unique characters, traits, or features. And sometimes this law is also known as law of individual differences. We can take one example, like assume we have two person. One name is Ram and another is Sham. So when Ram and Sham touch the surface, they left some residue behind, and these left behind residue is known as fingerprints. So when an investigator came to a crime scene and they lift that fingerprint and analyze it. After analyzing, examiner found some common characters and some individual characters. And because of these individual characters, we can say that each and every person possesses individuality. So basically, what are these individual characters? So the common character is world loop. When they left fingerprint behind on the surface, the fingerprint can be loop, can be world, but they possess some distinct character as well. And these distinct character can be their rigid patterns, pores, creases, scats, etc. These are some individual character that each and every people have. Now we will talk about principle of mutual exchange. So, principle of mutual exchange is given by Sir Edmund Locard, and sometimes it is also known as principle of reciprocity or Locard exchange principle. We call it Locard exchange principle because it is given by Sir Edmund Locard. According to this principle, when an object came into contact of another, it leaves some traces behind. Or we can say the mutual transfer of material occurred between these two objects. So, for example, previously I told you about Ram and Sham's story. Here we notice that Ram and Sham, when touched any surface, the exchange between the material, these two surfaces occur. Because of that, we got the fingerprint. So that is the example of principle of mutual exchange. Now we will talk about some certain conditions that are followed during the exchange. The first, we have exchange between crime scene and suspect. So basically, in this condition, the exchange of material has been occurred between crime scene and a suspect. For example, any suspect visited to the crime scene and somehow he left some trace behind on the crime scene. So that is the example of crime scene and suspect. We have second condition, that is exchange between crime scene and victim. In this, the exchange of material occurred between crime scene and a victim. Third, we have exchange between weapon and victim. In this, the exchange of material occurred between weapon and victim. And next, we have exchange between crime scene and criminal. In that, the exchange occurred between crime scene and criminal. Next, we have exchange between object and crime scene, and then exchange between two objects. Now, we will talk about another law that is called law of progressive change. Law of progressive change is very simple. As you can see the clock on that PPT, time passes, the things start to destroy. For example, you can buy a packet of chips and you buy a packet of chips and then you eat some. After that, you will put it aside. After 1 or 2 days, you can find the fungus on that chips. That is the classic example of law of progressive change. So simply, we can say that according to the passage of time, things start getting degraded. We can take another example that is of crime scene. Maybe any biological would start degrading. So that is called law of progressive change. Next, we have law of comparison. So initially we talked about the law of individuality. Like we discussed that each and every individual possesses some unique distinctive character. But law of comparison is just opposite of that. Law of comparison states that we can compare only those two things that are identical or that are look similar, not identical, that are look similar. For example, we can say if we get a hair from the crime scene, then we will compare it to hair only, not to an blood, not to an saliva, not to an semen, etc. We can talk about another example. If we get a ball pen from the crime scene, then we will compare this ball pen with the another ball pen, not to an gel pen. That is called law of comparison. I hope you got my point what I am trying to say. Now we will talk about another law, that is law of analysis. So basically, law of analysis states that the analysis can be no better than the sample analyzed, or improper sampling or analysis of evidence renders the best analysis useless. So basically, it have necessity of correct sampling and correct packaging for the effective use of expert. We can say that this law emphasizes the necessity of correct sampling of evidences or say samples that we get from the crime scene. That is all about law of analysis. After that, we will talk about another law, that is law of probability. Law of probability states that all identification, definite or indefinite, is made concisely or unconcisely on the basis of probability. We can say that the law of probability is more on mathematical side. So basically एक mathematical concept है, and here P equals to probability and NS equals to number of ways of successful event upon NS plus NF, where NF represents number of ways of failure event. So basically, when we divide number of successful event upon number of ways of failure plus number of ways of successful event, we will get the probability of a particular event that might happen. Talk about an example. Imagine a crime scene where a torn piece of fabric is found. The fabric is analyzed and found to have the following characters, that is, blue color, cotton material, specified thread pattern, and a unique tear shape. The investigator finds a suspect with a blue cotton shirt that has the same thread pattern and the tear shape. And here is and here comes the role of law of probability. If the color blue match, it would be a common coincidence. Obviously, anyone can wear blue t-shirt or blue shirt, so that can be a common coincidence. But we get another thing, that is if only two characters, color and material match, it would be less likely to be coincidence. Um, for example, someone is wearing a blue t-shirt of cotton fabric, someone is wearing a blue t-shirt of rayon fabric, so uh, that is likely to be a coincidence. But when the thread count, color and the fabric matches, then it 100% confirms that the person is present at the time of crime. So that is the example of law of probability. I hope you got my point, what I'm trying to say. Now we will talk about next law, that is our law of circumstantial facts. So basically, law of circumstantial facts states that facts do not lie, but man can do. As we can found any evidence from the crime scene, it never lies because we can analyze the evidence particularly to reach to the suspect. But a man can do. Why the man can do? Because man can be altered, their thoughts can be altered, they can be manipulated. That's why we can say that a man can lie, but the facts do not. I hope you will got that what should I am trying to say. And next, thank you so much for watching this lecture out. If you found it helpful, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel, C.A.S.E.23 Official.